letter when the lane moving fast. Hey, let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss.
Hey guys, before we jump in, this episode is brought to you by the Transportation Intermediaries Association, the only trade association exclusively representing the 3PL industry. We talk about risk management every single week on this show. Chameleon carriers, strategic theft, brokers are under a microscope like never before. This is why you need the TIA in your corner. The TIA isn't just about networking. They provide a powerful voice in Washington, the best legal frameworks in the business, and a community that holds the line on ethics and excellence, not to mention valuable certifications. They do the work so you can scale securely and with confidence. The Transportation Intermediaries Association, connecting freight, powering the supply chain. Don't operate on an island. Join the elite. Go to tianet.org and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agent success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys live every single weekday. Not at our normal time today, but we are here to break down some industry headlines and provide some actual insight by transportation professionals for transportation professionals. And the reason why we are going a little bit later today is it's not every day that you have a member of the FMCSA agree to come on the show, let alone talk about one of their new product rollouts that they're doing here starting tomorrow. So that's what we're doing. Our guest will be joining us here in about 15 minutes. And we're going to come on and we're just going to break down everything that's going on with the new onboarding system and like what they're referring to as MOTUS out there. So we're going to be breaking that down here in about 15 minutes. I've never had a guest kind of join in midstream like this. So we're going to kind of figure it out as we go. That is the MO. That's what we've always done here on this show. And that's what we're going to continue to do today. So that's why we're going live a little bit later than normal. But today is Wednesday, and you guys know what that means. It is the Freight Coach newsletter day. So if you want to get in on it, you guys, once a week, it only drops on Wednesday. I don't bombard you guys with stuff, but I need you to go to thefreightcoach.com, though, to register for it, because I don't like people auto-signing me up for things. And that's why we don't do it. So if you want to get in on it, it drops once a week, every single Wednesday. Just go to thefreightcoach.com, though, to register for it. And you guys, like we said, we only talk about freight in there. We talk about rates, diesel, all that fun stuff. And it's just one of those things that we do to help provide that insight into the industry. So you guys know it also it is. It's Wednesday today. So that means it is This Week in Freight, powered by my friends over at DAT. Today we're doing a reefer lane analysis. And as you guys know, this is 100% viewer submitted out there. So if you want your lanes broken down on the show, you guys, I need you guys to email my team, podcast@thefreightcoach.com. I need shipping city, delivery city, and trailer type. And then we're going to break it down. I'm just here to help you guys read freight markets and how I currently go about it, and what I do out there to apply it to my current book of business inside of my brokerage. But this one, now I chose this one. There was a bunch of different ones that came in, and obviously it's DOT week. I've seen so many posts about people flipping out about rates and where they're at and everything else. And so I purposefully chose one based on a post that I had saw, and somebody had actually submitted out of Nogales, Arizona, but it was going to a different area. And I chose this one because it's pretty wild out there, ladies and gentlemen. But this one, you guys, is Nogales, Arizona, going to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And it is for a reefer. And, again, when I'm out there and I'm looking at lanes to quote and I'm looking at everything, you guys, the first thing I always pay attention to is miles. And this one is sitting at 2350 on the miles, right? So we're looking at 5 days transit on that one. Obviously, the day of the week that it ships is going to drastically change the price on this one, especially if it's like shipping today for Monday. But, tomorrow for Monday, Friday for Monday, that one is going to show a little bit of stability here. But, I just want you guys to see this, for example, right? So I pulled it up, and this is like within the last 7 days, and this pulls in recent data as well. This lane jumped $1,000 this week, which is wild, but that's not even, I wouldn't even say that is what is going to be the wildest jump out there. So like I had said, I had went out and I had started looking at truck postings out there, and specifically for this week, right? I normally don't do this, but I want you guys to see what is going on out there, because this year is a true blitz week style dropping capacity and everything else that we see. And from my perspective, so I wrote some of these lanes down that we are seeing posted currently out of Nogales, Arizona, going into just the state of Pennsylvania. Okay, so I saw one that was up for $13,500. I saw a bunch of them up for about $10,000 that people were trying to post it out there for. And I pulled data from postings from today through Friday, and that's where they were sitting out there. But that's not even the craziest ones that I saw. The other day or yesterday, I had pulled it up because I got a lot of friends who run produce, and one of my buddies sent a screenshot and said, "Chris, look at this." I mean, there was multiple. I saw ones for $15,000, $18,000, all out of Arizona, down into like, it was also down in like McAllen, Texas, and Laredo, Texas as well. So it's like, it's wild to see out there, like these market shifts, because again, like we're using the a lot of this data. And this week is proving to be one of those ones where it's like, if you're going to go out there and bid on freight, you got to have truck in hand. All right. Straight up, you have to have truck in hand. You got to talk to your carrier networks that are out there and go out there and bid, because yeah, there are people who are going to go in and quote whatever they're going to quote. That's the free market, right? That is what it is. But, a lot of the carriers that we personally work with, we're moving for similar prices than what we are during non-Blitz week stuff that's out there. But again, this lane, and this is going to only go up, you guys, for this one, out of Nogales going to Philadelphia, it jumped $1,000. And then if you go out there and search for truck postings right now and load postings, you guys, it's even higher than that out there. So those are those things to pay attention to. My gut, and I said this on Monday when we were doing the dry van analysis, my gut says this is going to go through Memorial Day at the soonest. All right. So I'm not saying the prices are going to be at as high as they are, but capacity is going to probably remain limited, and it is going to be more expensive out there. So pay attention to that as you're navigating through this time. You can see it on the charts already, you guys. Rates are going up, and I would expect that here over the next couple of weeks. And then it might taper off after Memorial Day. I'm not going to, I'll address it at that time, but I've seen it go through Memorial Day with Blitz week pricing, and I wouldn't be surprised with that. But again, you guys, if you guys want to get in on this, podcast at thefreightcoach.com. I just need trailer type, pickup city, delivery city, and I'm going to go in there and teach you guys how I personally read these markets. And like when we were looking at those things this week in particular, you guys, I just a piece of advice. Okay. Truck in hand pricing. What does that mean? Your carrier reps are going to have to be making outbound calls for any new opportunities that come in. And again, I'm going to be, so like, this is what we did. I sell, I cold call, I prospect all the time. Some of my prospects are hitting me up this week for prices. I'm not just bidding it based on anything other than I'm calling my regular carriers first. I'm seeing what that truck in hand price is. I'm going to call posted trucks in that area. I'm going to see what that truck in hand price is, because I think right now it's more about who can cover the freight. Like I've always said this, right? As a broker, the person who with the truck will win at the end of the day. It sounds overly simple, but it will ring true now more than ever, you guys, because capacity could remain tight here through Memorial Day. Like I was saying, rates could stay elevated. How are you going to handle that? That's what's most important out there. Now, I want to, for a lot of you who are experiencing this for the first time, this is kind of normal for a blitz week. Okay. Now there's obviously some different factors that are going on out there, but we're at, and I was talking about this when fuel prices skyrocketed here back in March. I think that we are in a position now where, because this is how we handled it, right? Like, we went to all of our carriers that we work with on a consistent basis, and we were talking to them, hey, with fuel prices going up, what do you guys need now? We want to keep you guys, fed, right? We want to keep you guys moving. And a lot of them had said this 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. They're like, Chris, it's not like, yes, we'll take the more money, but they're like, it's the line of credit that we have from our bank. We're in like the fuel lines of credit and everything else, because the cost to operate goes up during this time. And then the ability to float invoices crunches their cash flow. And that's a thing that might actually push people out of the market here is they're going to run out of money, even though their revenue is through the roof right now, potentially. If their lines of credit aren't increased out there, you guys, their cost to operate is going to be limited. So it's like, yeah, high rates are phenomenal, right? Like, I'm not a selective capitalist. I understand how this stuff happens. The market shift, as a broker, we have to find a solution out there. But that's one thing that I haven't seen enough people talking about is there might be an additional tightening of capacity out there if they can't afford to operate because their lines of credit and their operating capital is limited from their lending partners and everything else. And I saw a couple of posts out there about that today. That's what reminded me of it. And, again, it's one of those things that we need to talk about because, this is a big week, right? Road check, what we're seeing out there, increased prices and everything else. If you've never seen this before, you guys, this is normal for a DOT blitz week. I wouldn't say everything that we're seeing is going to happen every single year out there, but the spike in prices and the limited capacity, that happens, right? And, rest assured, not every carrier that shuts down this week is a bad carrier. I want to put that out there because we have some of our regulars that we work with that, they shut down on Tuesday. They picked up a load on Monday. They delivered on Tuesday. And then they're like, I'm taking the rest of the week off because this is one of the only times where like freight's actually limited as well. Because that's another thing too, is if you're going to go out there and you're going to run, you got to make sure that the loads are actually going to be good. And I've talked to some of our regulars and they've said like they have actually seen more loads fall off during blitz week than not. So that's another reason. So there's a bunch of different factors that are going on out there here. And so again, that's one thing to keep in mind as we're going in. And, we're going to touch on a brief article about road check and some of the stats that we're seeing out there. And my guest is coming in here, you guys. So we're going to bring him up here in a second. And we're going to be talking about MOTUS like we were talking about here. But, the road check, some of the early stats are in on this, you guys. Violations are up like kind of exponentially out there. And, again, the big talking points and the big areas of emphasis this year are on ELD manipulations and cargo securement. So if you're moving flatbed freight like I am out there, you're seeing, you might see a drop in capacity because, these are those things. Cargo securement, obviously very evident on an open deck trailer that we're seeing out there. So we need to be on the loop on this. And, I think that it's going to be an interesting couple of days once a lot more of this data comes out about what's going on in regards to the violations and what we're seeing this year. Again, like I've mentioned on the show numerous times, I love what is going on currently within the DOT and the FMCSA and really bringing a lot of this stuff up to speed here, you guys, because that's one of those things that we need. And we are going to continue to see, because like no matter what, you guys, and I think that this is going to kind of lead into the conversation that we're about to have here, you guys. I just want to see a time where like we're on that equal playing field and that we have a, like the people who are doing it right, it's going to be easier for them to stand out in a crowd. And I think that with a lot of the changes that are going on, and we're going to be talking about it here, are we're going to be able to break that down. So give me 2 seconds, you guys. I'm going to be chatting with my guest here just to make sure that we're going to be good to go. And I'm going to be able to pull them up. Again, I've never had somebody jump on midstream like this before. So I just want to make sure that everything comes up. So I am going to pull him up right now, you guys. I have Mr. Ken Riddle on the show today. Ken, Mr. Riddle, thank you so much for taking the time to join me this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
No, I'm really looking forward to this, right? Like I know our mutual friend Chris Burrows introduced us a couple months back there, and you guys have clearly been busy behind the scenes and and on the front lines of a lot of things going on out there. So I really appreciate you taking the time here this afternoon to break this down. And so when we're looking at the new system that you guys are implementing here, starting tomorrow, was there something that happened, or like a specific breaking point from your guys' perspective that made you guys realize like we got to change off of this legacy system and update this to the new MOTUS system?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, when we started this effort a while back, the emphasis was, my priority was, let's make a more user-friendly platform. The systems we have today are 30 to 40 years old, so they're way past their life cycle. They're difficult to update, and they didn't support the industry very well. That was my goal back then. Then about 18 months ago, the priority shifted. We need a system that helps protect the CMV industry against this fraud. The hot topic today is fraud, every corner of the industry. And we need a registration system that helps the industry. I heard you say right before I came on about leveling the playing field. And that's exactly what we want to do, is help level the playing field. Get out the bad actors to give a fair chance to the good guys, if you will.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where it's like, I've seen, obviously I've been following everything you guys have been doing at the FMCSA and the DOT and, Secretary Duffy and everything out there. And it's like, I see a lot of that. And I'm like, I love seeing this get the attention that it deserves. I come from a family of truck drivers. My family's been in the industry since the 1930s when my grandparents immigrated here from Germany. And it's like, with where we are now, that was always my biggest concern. What we were seeing is it's like, how many of the good companies is this current environment going to put out of business? Because the ultimate victims of double brokering and fraud are the legitimate carriers who are picking this up and delivering it. And with that being said, is this, and you had mentioned like that was one of the main driving forces out there, is this new system, is this going to cause, any of these flags from like any of these carriers who are reincarnating, or these chameleon carriers, is this now going to essentially put them out of service in the short term while you guys are able to investigate it?
Well, let me start by saying it's going to help. Absolutely, it's going to help. We're introducing some fraud prevention measures in the new system, some new IT security requirements, and that's absolutely going to help those trying to come in through the front door. But let me also mention an effort underway right now at the direction of our Administrator Bars, Derek Bars. He has directed that we go after these chameleon carriers today. We can't wait on a new system. We need to go after them today. So our Office of Safety is actively pursuing these multiple carriers at the same PPOB address, chameleon carriers, etc. So we're not going to wait. He's already directed that we take action, and we are taking action. This new system that we're getting ready to roll out is going to help protect the front door, but we also got to clean inside the house, and that's going to take a little bit of time. If I could mention a couple of the things that the new system is going to do is identity verification. We contracted with a company called IDEMIA, IDEMIA, who provides the same technology at all of our TSA checkpoints at all of our airports. So a proven company with a proven solution, that's who we hired, contracted with to do our identity verification. So every single existing registrant and new registrant will have to go through the identity verification process with IDEMIA before we allow them into the new system. In addition, we're introducing business verification. It's one thing to verify you are who you say you are, but whether you should be registering that company or gaining access to that company and making changes, that's a different story. So we contracted with Thomson Reuters Clear to do checks on business names, business addresses, EIN numbers, so we can help validate the information that we're receiving. Those two things alone will go a long ways towards helping protect that front door, as I call it.
And then, so like on top of that, so we're essentially now stopping anybody from even gaining access to start the application process. Now, when you were talking about the people who have already gained access in there, are you guys going to be able to use this technology to flag the companies that there's multiple businesses at addresses across the country. You know, like it's very well publicized in some of the hotspots up in Wyoming and Southern California, where there's multiple, you know, hundreds of MCs and stuff like that. Is that kind of those main target rich environment that you guys are going to attack first to essentially like flood a lot of this out?
In action right now, yes. And the new system will help with that. Again, this is the first layer, what we're deploying. You know, there's always a balancing act. Do you wait till the system's perfect with all the bells and whistles that you want, with all the capability you want? Or do you get something on the street right now that'll help? And the decision was made, we got to get a new system on the street today that will help, and then we can build upon it from there and help prevent this in the future. So this is the first step.
No, and I agree with that, right? Like, I think that getting it out there and, you know, especially with how fast technology is advancing, it's like you could get something out there today and think you have all the bells and whistles, and then 6 weeks later, there's going to be something completely different out there and available. So it's like this slow rollout. I mean, like, I just look at it as like we're hemorrhaging legitimate providers that are out there right now. And this is, you know, seemingly going to put a Band-Aid on that to stop that, because, you know, it's like, you know, we're talking about, you know, it's like the best practices for the industry and protecting the integrity of the supply chain out there. What happens if anybody misses that deadline tomorrow? Are they out of service instantly? And
Absolutely.
then, okay.
Yeah. So if they're active today, they're going to be active tomorrow. So nobody should worry about, you know, going out of business or having their authority revoked or being inactive because of this change, this migration. All we're doing is moving all the data from the current system, the legacy system, over to its new home. The status will not change. So there's no need, unless you're doing a biennial update like tomorrow, there's no need to worry about signing in on day one. You have time, unless you're due do a biennial update or you need to make a change for some reason. You have time. What we're asking people to do is just make sure that company official in the portal is accurate, updated, because that's the person that can claim the new MOTUS account, is that company official. If that's not accurate in portal, you got to contact us so we can manually link you to your new account. And that wait line is going to be long, because there's going to be a lot of folks that don't get the word or were unable to get in and update their company official.
So was that one of those things that, you know, kind of having that single point of contact per company and then making them contact you guys to update it? Is that one of those areas where you guys have identified where it's like people can essentially give out their credentials to anybody, but, you know, potentially, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but it's like, it's easy to get spoofed out there, email phishing with hackers and everything else, where they can come in and gain access and get your credentials. Is this now just another, you know, we'll call it a firewall to stop people's identities from being able to be stolen inside of the system, to where all of a sudden they can go in, change banking information, mailing addresses, and like essentially steal the company's identity through the, you know, that database?
Yeah, absolutely. This is another layer of protection. And even after we verify and link them to their new account, they're still going to have to go through identity verification to gain access. So we're still going to verify that identity, and we're going to pre-populate that application with the name on the ID card, the driver's license or passport, whatever they use to go through the identity verification. We're going to pre-populate that name on the application. This is for new applicants, and they can't change it.
So what would your advice be to somebody like, you know, I'm a broker, and it's like we're going in there and I might be onboarding a new carrier, say Friday the 15th here. Is there any new like migration that we're going to like, is going to be any delays in the information that's out there? Like if we're going to the FMCSA database to check and vet the information of this carrier, is there going to be any, you know, form of blackout where we're not going to be able to potentially onboard a new provider?
Yes. You will not be able to onboard a new provider from 8 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday the 14th, until early next week. Because that, you know, this migration effort's going to take a little while, take over the weekend, but we anticipate that MOTUS will come up live with the new data, with the existing data in the new system early next week. So there will be a dark period. You can still see data going into Safer or going into MICMAS out. You'll still be able to see data, but you won't be able to change a registration or add a registration or apply new or anything like that.
Is there a, so like, I'm looking at it from like an insurance perspective as well. Is there going to be any potential blackout period where if somebody's switching insurance, like if I'm looking at like an owner operator or a fleet, they're switching, like maybe they're up for, their insurance renewal right now on the 14th. Is there going to be any delay in them being able to update that? Is that going to affect anything on their end?
We're very concerned about that. So we've been communicating with the insurance companies and our service providers and our BOC3 process agent companies. We've been communicating with them to get any changes in before 8 p.m. tomorrow that may be due over the weekend. Get them in early so that we can make that update, make that change so that they're not impacted during the blackout period.
Okay. Now, with this moving forward, is this going to give, providers, whether it's a trucking company or brokers, are they going to be able to have an API integration into this system? So there's more of like a real-time update on, the information from those providers, because, like I say all the time, I think drivers and carriers need to vet the brokers they're working with just as much as, the flip side that brokers go out there and vet the carriers that they're working with.
Yeah. So two things. One is MOTUS will have a public search capability like Safer has today. Plug in a DOT number or plug in a name, and it'll bring up basic information about that company that's public. There's also, we have at the OST level, the department level, we have what I call Data Hub. We put all public data in one spot now that is free for the public to access. So today, the load boards access it, industry accesses it, and it's all in one spot. So we used to have desperate sources for the data, and that didn't always match, and it was updated at different times. This one source of data in Data Hub, and I can provide you the URL after this if desired. That's where folks need to go to get the data, and it is updated frequently.
Okay, yeah, that's one of those things where as I've kind of been out there and. You look at some of those those gray areas, of when you're onboarding somebody and, keeping that data up to date. And, again, I think the modernization of this system, Ken, it's great to see, right? Because it's like we're moving at a rapid pace inside of technology, and to be able to have a system in place from the FMCSA that allows us to make those confident real-time decisions out there, but most importantly, protect the American business owners that are out here who are trying everything, fighting tooth and nail. I mean, you've been around this for a long time, and it's been one of the hardest freight recessions that have been out there for quite some time now. And this week, with it being Blitz week, rates have shifted out there, so I know a lot of the drivers are happy with that. But it's like to be able to protect those carriers. That's always been my biggest concern is to have the legitimate providers amplified. And I don't know if that's something that is a feature inside of MOTUS, where it's going to be almost like hey, these guys have been up to date for the longest, and they're like these are the guys that we would want you guys to be working with, essentially. Yeah, we won't be doing that for probably legal reasons. Yeah, for sure. Promoting one entity over another, yeah. No, I got you. Ken, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump in. I know you got a busy schedule, and we had about 15 minutes here, but thank you. I'm going to make sure to share everything out there with my audience about where they got to go to. You guys, the deadline is tomorrow, May 14th. Get on there, get this up to date, you guys. We don't want anybody to potentially lose any business here over the next couple of days. So Ken, thanks again for your time, and really hope to get you back on the show here at some point. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. All right. Thank you, sir. All right, you guys, you essentially heard it here first. All right. We needed, this has been well publicized that this has been going on for a while, and tomorrow is the deadline that's out there. So you need to go in and check this stuff out. There's plenty of articles. Go to the FMCSA. You could literally just Google MOTUS out there, you guys, and it'll send you to the direct place that you need to go to, the step-by-step plan to follow as well, you guys. So check all of that out. Get in front of it. Like you had said, there's, it's going to be a transitionary period here. So if you don't want to have any service disruptions inside of your business, you guys get in front of it, register it, take care of it, and do it. I appreciate everybody coming in on this. I know we went live a little bit later today, but like I said, it's not every day that I get somebody from the FMCSA to come on the show. This is the first time, hopefully of many, to come on and talk about this, you guys, because as always, all we want to do is provide education and insight to the industry to keep the right people in business and to help amplify the right providers out there. But That is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank that show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Ayy, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the back. Ayy, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast.